Welcome everyone to the 11th Annual Epic Network Conference. My name is Marshall Curry. I'm the Program Manager at EpicN, and beside me is Ada Inman, the Program Support Coordinator. We also have others involved in EpicN on the call, and we'll learn more about them as we get started. And today we're working to help you have a quality experience throughout the conference, and we want to provide you with reminders and links so that you know where to find valuable information as you engage in this event. We'd like you, if you're joining us via the Whova link, please use the session Q&A in the chat throughout the presentation if you have any questions or comments. That way, participants who are unable to attend or are watching this recording after the fact can also see those chats and those question and responses that we provide. If you are viewing this through Zoom, feel free to do the chat just through Zoom, and Ada and I will work on if it's comfortable with you. We'll put it in the session Q&A in the Whova for you, so that way we have that running record as well. But we'll throughout today and all the conference sessions, Ada and myself will be monitoring the chat in both Zoom and Whova to make it easy for you to participate in whatever capacity you're able to join. If you have any event logistic questions outside of sessions, there's a space within the Whova conference document or online platform, and also the phone app under community, this tab here on the left. There's a topic that's pinned to the top that's called Ask Organizers Anything. Please use that space to add questions, and we will be monitoring that space very much over the next few days. There's also a section called Organizer Announcements. We will be adding things there as well. I highly suggest you stay tuned to what is being posted there. We just had one go out about 30 minutes ago, I believe. It should say, yeah, this is just a screenshot, right? So let's start by doing that engagement topic that I mentioned. If you're here and if you're able, we'd love for you to answer the question. I think because we have smaller attendance, if you're in the room and you're comfortable, feel free to unmute. And if you aren't comfortable unmuting at this time, feel free to put it in the chat. And we'd like you to answer the prompt, what 3 things are you most looking forward to during the conference this next week? And if you want to, I will ask a couple of folks to share in just a second, but we'll go around the room and give you each a chance to unmute. I see Nzime, you're on the call. Would you like to share what you're excited about?
Yeah, so the one thing that pops up is our session on sharing experiences of epic work from Asia and Africa. And I'm still thinking about the other 2. Yes, meeting people from the network.
Can you introduce yourself too? I forgot to put that in the prompt. Since there's a smaller group today, we can do brief introductions too. I should have mentioned that. Sorry.
It's all right. Yes, my name is Nzime Murisa, and I'm based in Harare, Zimbabwe, which is in Africa, and I'm the EpicN Africa Regional Coordinator. Is that good, Marshall?
Yes, that's fine. And yeah, we're really looking forward to your session too. And if you have any other things you're excited about, feel free to put them in the chat. I won't put you on the spot to get all 3.
Yes, well, just to say that I've been active. I'm on number 2 on the, what do you call it?
You're the leaderboard. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
We'll show that space in just a second. We love that leaderboard. The community activities are so fun, and the leaderboard is so affirming. It helps motivate me to get engaged in it too. Thanks, Mzime. Mazzy, why don't you go next, if you're available?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am available. I am en route to a more stable place. But thank you for asking. I am Mazzy Ferguson. I am Program Director for the Community Sustainability Partnership Program at the University of South Florida. I am a board member of the EPIC Network, and I am responsible for the assessment work group with the board. And I am really just interested in looking or hearing the different points of view and engagement across the network as a whole. So I'm very interested in the fact that we have our very first real go at an international conference. And so that's what's exciting to me.
Thanks, Maggie. Tamara, are you able to unmute and share, or if you're comfortable? Looks like you're on mute. If not, that's okay. We'll move on. All right, Winona, are you available or willing? Give it a couple more seconds.
Hi
There
there.
you go. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I had some issues with that mute button. So my name is Winona Virketeer. I work at NASA Ames in California, Bay Area, and we had a guest speaker at our sustainability monthly lunch talks that described this whole system that you guys have, and it was amazing. And so we're really just looking into it and trying to get familiar with the process and see what we can do to possibly get something going. I have a collaboration with several local community college and San Jose State. I have some connections there too. So just very early stages of getting familiar with how this stuff works, and it's really exciting.
Well, wonderful. And I'm so glad you joined for this session in particular, because we've really set it up for folks like you who just heard about EPIC and are looking to kind of find, where do I start?
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that Great. A little bit this session. Glad you're here.
Thank
and
you.
Tamara, or if I'm pronouncing your name right, if you are able to unmute in the future, feel free to interrupt us as we're going. We'll go into the presentation now, and we're glad to have you all here. And we're so glad for those of you who might be watching this recording, who have engaged on the online, on the community boards, and announced why you're here and why you're excited and you've done your icebreaker. It's great to see you all, and we're really excited for this week's content. So I'm going to hand it over to Ada Inman, who's going to take us through some resources and some just tips about where our information is located for you, and kind of what is in those, what information that includes, so you can kind of find your way around the EPIC and resources that we provide. Ada, is it going to be easier for me to let you share your screen, or is this fine? This is fine, right? I forget.
Yeah, this is great. This is fine. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to just review a couple of resources that we are offering that have come out very recently. So the first is the EPIC N website tour. I'm putting the link in the chat here. But recently I've filmed a video recording of myself walking you through the EPIC N website and the member commons. Listed here are all the pages that I review in my video. And this is just a really great tool to get yourself familiar with the EPIC N website and the resources that we offer there. So I highly recommend you check it out. And I can go to the next slide. Great. So I'm going to review just the first one, but recently I've published 14 resource pages to the EPIC N website. These resource pages review all the different resources that are available to individuals who sign up for a EPIC N Member Commons membership. Again, there are 14, and each page describes one of our resources, gives examples on how different people have used that resource, provide some instructions on how to access the resource, and then give some testimonials and a feedback form for that resource if you use it. So I'm going to paste the link to that as well. Again, I created a video showing you where to access the resource pages. And so here is that link too. And Marshall, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Ada. The other resources that we recently put together as videos, but also we have some information on our website about them, is the information about how to sign up for the EPIC member commons, a brief short message about why our membership is currently free, and we do have plans for that, for updates on that process, but the majority of our resources that we offer for free currently will remain free, and so we'll share links to that video in the chat. And then we also have links to sessions we did earlier this week for speakers, and a separate one for attendees that we have recordings and of those videos to kind of help you again engage more in this process. And so we're going to share those with you all in the chat. So if you have any additional questions after this webinar today, this session right here, you can look back at those recordings, either if you're an attendee or if you're a speaker, for tips about how to engage this week with the software platform that we use for the conference, which is Whova. Yeah, and welcome. Thank you for the chat, Tamara, and also welcome, Snow. I really appreciate you being here. Next up in our presentation, we want to make sure that as you go through this week, you just have a good idea of where things are at within our that online platform for this conference. The software is called Whova, but our page is unique to our event, and we want to just showcase that for you. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here in just a second to show you what that looks like. Here we are. So I should actually start a step back, as I think the fact that you're here indicates that you have found the link successfully, but just in case you were not able to find the event page successfully or the information of how to find the event successfully, you'll go to events, and if you're signed into the member commons, you can click on this page and see all the details. So if you go to events, the main event on the front of the page is the EPIC conference. You can click it here. You can click it. This one, this top one, is the network conference event page. In there, it will have a lot of all the links that you'll need for this event, and also for sharing it if you need to. The web app for registered participants is the link that I am referring to. You should have received an email with this link. You should have this email or this link also as part of the registration process. It should have been emailed to you. In case it has not, I will put it in the chat just so each of you can bookmark it in the future. I would bookmark it on your desktop. You can also download Whova as an app on your phone, and you can engage with your smartphone. I will be sending a reminder with the instructions of how to download that later tonight. So you have that as well as an additional way to engage in the conference. Once you're here, I want to draw your attention to this menu on the left-hand side. There's an agenda. This is where you'll be able to see all of the sessions for this week. You can add them to your personal agenda. It gives us as speakers a good idea of who's coming. It also gives an idea to other participants who's coming. So I just suggest if you plan to attend a session, you can click on this. You can also add that information to your calendar if you see fit, but you can also just press done. And this will also be where the follow-up to sessions where we're asking for feedback. The links for that will be, and also just details about each of the speakers. You can click on their profiles to find out more information and where they're involved in the conference. You can also click on these additional links. I need to go change the settings on my link. I guess I need to be a little more public in my personal settings, so you can video call me and say hi. You can also see the condensed version of all our speakers here. You can look at attendees in general that are willing to share their personal information. You can also check your personal information to see if it's what you'd like it to be. Most importantly, I want to draw your attention to the community boards. This is where we'll be posting, again, organizer announcements, as well as other attendees will be posting meetups and virtual meet suggestions. There's a past one from last week you could take a look at and see how that went, or see what that was like, and maybe suggest similar versions if you'd like. You can ask us as organizers anything. We talked about that earlier. And then you can also put in additional topics if you'd like to ask other folks. And we really encourage you to do the break the ice activity. And there's been a couple posts about, are you a participant from Latin America, or are you a participant from Africa? We would encourage you to engage in that if those are of connection to you. Finally, this is messages that you'll just receive personally. If someone's sending you a message, it'll show up there under messages. And then leaderboard, Zina mentioned that earlier, and I'm glad that Tamara, you're on here so we can give you some props for being so engaged. Thank you so much for generating activity on our conference page. We really appreciate it from many of you on this call. We hope to see that change as more and others engage throughout the week, but hopefully you all can retain your position. We send out swag and information, swag and bragging rights via email, where we announce whoever the winner is at the end of the week. And this is just, you can see here on the right, this is the way that this gives you information about how you can receive those points. So give us feedback on sessions, you can earn points, and then you can also go through a lot of the topic ideas to gain points as well. So good luck in that fun side competition as a part of our conference. Finally, if you go to resources, there's a lot of information here under Whova guides for in-depth tutorials of how to use Whova. I suggest looking at that if you have any additional questions. And you can also see documents that have been shared by session speakers here. And then under my stuff, you can see your profile and your agenda and make changes if you see fit. Any questions before we move on? We do have some additional time for this session. So if you have any questions about the presentation I just gave or finding things in Whova, please let me know. And Ada, please feel free to unmute if I missed anything. All right. So we do have some folks who are newer to EPIC-N on the call, so I want to make sure we spend a little bit of time here in the Q&A just asking you all to put any questions you have about EPIC-N in the chat, or feel free to unmute if you'd like to ask the question. I'd prefer if we spend a minute typing our questions into the chat function so we could see all the different questions before we start answering. We will entertain questions today about EPIC-N in general, our resources we provide, the programs in our network currently, future efforts and plans that we might have, how to engage with the conference site that I just presented, kind of any question about EPIC-N we'll entertain in the session. So we're going to spend some time on that. I'll let you all think about what your questions might be, put them in the chat or unmute. So I'm going to go on mute for about a minute while we let you all think about questions. And again, feel free to populate them in the chat. And then after that minute, I'll ask folks to unmute if they have any questions. Thank you, Snow, for your question. We'll wait for a couple others to come through. I know Mazzy's in transit, so Mazzy, I might see if you have any questions first, but no, I won't. Sorry, I won't put you on the spot. You drive safe. I'll just wait for another second, see if anyone has any other questions. Great, thank you. I see your question, Winona. I'm gonna just paste it over into the Q&A just in case someone looks there instead of in the chat, but that's a great question. And I'll make sure to answer that as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you have other additional questions, or Zime or Mazzy, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A as needed. So first question that we got was from Snow. We're working on, as you saw with this session, a Zoom link kind of came in last minute to the session. Tonight, we'll be putting in all of the Zoom links, and you'll be able to see those Zoom links, right? You should be able to see those Zoom links within each session description. So if you go to sessions, and then you click on this session from today, for example, you'll see this like join in Zoom button. This will be your Zoom link. And then Ada, and you can either view it in Whova or in Zoom. And then Ada and I as hosts will then make you a presenter if you're presenting, but it's the same for attendees or for presenters. The other thing that Ada and I will be doing is sending if you're a speaker, we'll be sending you a calendar invite with the specific Zoom link in it as a backup, just in case you can't find this space under sessions, or if it doesn't work for some reason, or if it's not viewing appropriately. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question, but I think I covered that. You'll have a couple different ways to get that information. Ada, did I do that? Is that good? That sound right?
Yep.
All right, and then for I went on it your question about regional meetings that take place. This is the first time that EPIC-N has had multiple more than a hand. Sorry, this is the first year that EPIC-N has had multiple regions well staffed and moving forward. And by regions, we generally or loosely use continents to divide our regions. But now as we grow, we are and we've always been aware, but it's becoming more and more the case as we've grown, that we need to be able to provide diverse and contextual support to the different regions that we have programs that exist. And so, for example, we do have we started with a North American region, even though we've never really called it that, because that was just where we were based. So we just call ourselves EPIC-N. But we now that we're expanding, we need to differentiate, the USA and North America from Africa. And so what we currently have, generally speaking, is a region in EPIC Africa, a region in EPIC Asia, a region in North America, but it's becoming more the United States. And then we might even have a sub-region starting in California, because there's so many of our programs active in California, and because California is so different, or not different, but state to state, there's differences, and there's just such a contingency that we are aware that we have a large contingency in California and their needs are distinct. We have also supported Region 5 because of some of US EPA's staff engagement with our network in that region. We've been able to do some regional specific things in Region 5. So we might have a regional network of, which is like the mid Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, a couple other states that I'm missing, I think, that region of the US. But nothing formal there, or with California, nothing formal. We just identified it as a probable regional area in the future. But over in the next session, and because of that, for the first time, we're having a session in Asia, in business hours for the Asian continent and the African continent, which is the next session of the conference, taking place at 2 a.m. Central Time, or 12:01 a.m. Pacific Time if you're calling in from the West Coast like myself. So they'll be featuring their regional networks and bringing program leaders from their regional networks. Even we have a really cool student session that we've put together for the first time with those international partners, which I'm really excited about. And so that those regions will begin to show and be presented. We've done presentations in the past with those regions, but now it's becoming much more clear, and you'll see much more full dedicated sessions to that effort. The other piece of that is tomorrow morning, for those of you who don't want to wake up in the middle of the night if you're in the US. Tomorrow morning, our Epic Africa coordinator, Mzime, who is just on the call, and our Epic Asia coordinator, Kay Pongtuong Pakdi, and our a representative of a new team of Latin American and Caribbean consultants. We have 4 of them focused on different regions. One of them will be joining our board chair, Joel Rogers, for our first session, our second session, which is kind of kicking off Monday's events for the US and North American and South American folks who are calling in Monday, June 19th or June 13th, so tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Central Time. Right, Ada? Is that the right time? So I was sharing my screen on the session so I could highlight that, and I forgot to share them. So again, 2 a.m. Central Time, Epic Asian, Epic Africa regional session, and then at 10 a.m. Central, welcome to 2022 Epic Network Conference, the growth and impact of Epic N. Our different coordinators will be giving like 5-minute presentations about what their different regions are looking like. That was a very long answer.
That's great, though. That gives a lot of context. So thank you.
Yeah, we have some international partners, and they've been just so great in supporting us, and they really are. One is UNEP GAN, United Nations Environmental Program Global Adaptation Network. Another one is START International. Another one is ICLEI, which is a local governments interested in sustainability association that has global reach. And with the Latin America and Caribbean work, that includes working with Mexico as well. The Inter-American Institute for Global Research and Change, they go by IAI. They've been really integral to that effort, and we've been really grateful for them and their support. And Snow, thank you for being a part of the presentation later. I guess first thing in your morning, and thank you for staying up right now to take part of this session and ask questions here. Back to today's session. I think Mazzy had a question here. Yes, Mazzy asked, as the program manager, or whatever my role is, thanks Mazzy, can I give 3 of the top reasons programs give as benefits for joining the network? So, and Ada, I'd be curious what your response is, since you've been having a lot of different conversations than I have with our programs. But what I found through all my conversations, well, yeah, I'll let Ada, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why don't you go first before I change your answers with mine?
Yeah, this is a great question. So the first thing that comes to my mind is the connections. You know, being in this network, you get to speak with a lot of people who are in a similar position to you, and that's good advice, and get different perspectives on your challenges. So I think that's a huge benefit that I've heard from a lot of different folks that I've spoken to. Additionally, the technical assistance resource, having the ability to meet with Marshall and I at any time to go over your challenges, to get input or advice on some situations you're facing. I've also heard great feedback about that. And then lastly, I would say just the tools we offer through our website, specifically the project library. If you go in the member comments and see the project library, you'll see like 1,700 projects from the different programs involved in the EPIC network. And this gives our programs a really great tool to see what other universities are doing. If they're approaching a project that's similar to one in the project library, they can reach out to the program leader who took charge of that. And it also gives a really great tool for programs to track their own projects and have it in one cohesive space. So those are the top 3 tools. As you see, Marshall here is showing you the project library. You can filter the project library too, which is a really great way to find specific projects. And most of the project library entries have a report attached, as you're seeing on the screen here. So just some more in-depth information about the project that took place. Yeah, so those are the 3 things that come to my mind right away. Marshall, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really led to our creation as an association, as a nonprofit, is something that Ada hit on, which is there are people who want to do this work all over the place and who are doing this work all over the place, and they often feel isolated in their efforts because it's rare for folks to want to build partnership work with student work into their efforts. And that's not all we do, but that's a pretty specific part of what the EPIC model is, which is one of the videos that we share for those of you who are new. You can take a look at that. It's a little more in detail than our animation that's on our website that really shortly describes the EPIC model. But when you look at the EPIC model and what it does with universities and local governments and communities, when they do that work, it's very unique in that there's some staff person, there's some faculty who want to do these really cool partnerships, unlocking the capacity of the student work that's being done in classrooms, just not usually in connection with local governments and with local partners. There's somebody there, and then they are working on this, and they're often they're wanting to know, how do I improve things, or they're being asked to do something and they've never done it before. And we are that friendly space, that friendly network that can offer support without having any real political implications for you and for that person and their efforts. Oftentimes Ada and I are not experts in something or the field that we're in or that we're being asked about. And so we and the other coordinators in our network, who you'll hear from later this week, oftentimes we'll just refer people to experts in that particular issue rather than trying to answer the conversation ourselves. And our member commons is basically built around that idea that our members are the ones who are the experts. They're experts in different things, and our job is to just build the space that allows you all to connect on those things. And so I think one thing I've heard from many programs is the ability to connect with other programs without having to do hours and hours of Google searching and phone calls to figure out, who is this person? Are they doing something like me? Are they an expert in the thing I'm asking about? People can just come to us and say, I'm trying to work on this. Do you have any thoughts? And then we can provide them a pretty tight list of really meaningful referrals. The other thing is the programs we work with are very often focused on a certain place, a certain region. And so they're great at building that capacity in that local area, but often they're unable. Their work is so heavy. They have to do so much work just working with the faculty on their campus, just working with their community partners, or just working with those city, local government staffers, or even sometimes state offices. They don't have time to also think about how can they network and grow and gain support at the federal level or at the international level. And so that's where EPIC-N can also provide support. So this last year, we've been focusing more on how do we help even more since the pandemic. We started right before the pandemic, trying to identify better funding sources to refer our programs to, so they can be better supported and have an easier time submitting applications to support their work. And just this last year, we've had some real success on that. We'll have some cool numbers or some engagement numbers. You can be the judge on those. Those will be coming out tomorrow, I believe. And also we'll have another session on funding opportunities on Wednesday. The third thing I'll mention is I think that the model itself mean, there's a lot of other things, but the model itself, the way the model is set up, was originally set up, and some of the ways the board and the kind of the thought leaders of that model have made subtle changes to it over the years, really sets us up to support programs where they're at with the assets they have, rather than coming at it like we know the answer to the solution. And so I think Snow, I think your program at UFMG, I think your program at UKZN in Durban and with Ethel-Kini municipality is a really amazing example of that. We presented the EPIC model in 2017 to some leaders in South Africa that are connected to Snow, who's on the call with us, and they took the idea and they didn't do it exactly as was prescribed, but they stayed true to the values of that EPIC model and have been able to accomplish some amazing work, and have actually grown more into what was originally proposed because of their success, but at the same time been able to flex for that local context and match what their community is actually asking for, rather than what EPIC-N would prescribe from the global setting. And so I think that's the third thing I hear a lot of members reflecting on is, oh, I wasn't aware you all were like, the model was built in a way that could support this in such a meaningful way. So those are my three things, Mazzy, and I talked about that for way too long. So thanks for giving us that great question. Great, more questions, good. Thank you all for putting in so many questions. This is so great. So has there been any further development, or has there been further development of collaboration and coordination between EPIC-N and Lead for America for connecting with regional government leaders in a coordinated way? Oh, wonderful. Winona, would you like to introduce Lead for America? Because not everyone in EPIC-N has heard from Lead for America.
I only know, sorry, I only know from the video that is in the courses. And so I was
the
trying
comments.
to watch a couple of those before this meeting started, so I'd be a little bit more familiar.
Yeah. We've actually with one of the other organizations, Thriving Earth Exchange, we've actually developed that partnership into a pilot where Wisconsin-Madison, our program at Wisconsin-Madison is working very, very closely to launch a geographically specific cohort of Thriving Earth Exchange projects, which are different than EPIC model projects, but they're very similar. So so we've been able to figure that out. And but that's a different group than what you're asking about. The Lead for America group, we've remained in conversation with them, but we haven't quite figured out anything. There's not been any further development other than on a regular basis, we're sending referrals to one another, or excuse me, if a program asks, there's a community that we've been working with and they completed 10 projects, but they really need like one person to help take those projects, or take one or two of those projects and do really focused work. We will often refer them to Lead for America, as well as other programs like that we've come into contact with many, I don't know how many, but much more than I ever expected, types of AmeriCorps programs of all different shapes and sizes, all different focuses, all different capacities. And that's all, and that landscape of AmeriCorps service member programming is changing as the federal government begins to evolve that programming to be more respective of the current context of the work that needs to be done and the current pay that service members need. So we're aware of all of that going on. We're not aware of all of those organizations, but we are aware of a handful that are very well situated to support that local context, whatever it might be. And so I think that's the way we've developed, is we've just we've had a couple focus groups with programs who have hosted, who regularly place AmeriCorps, as well as Lead for America in that focus group. So we have an idea of how they can work together and where to place them, but we haven't developed anything formal. We'd love to, because Lead for America is amazing. I think that they are not solely reliant on AmeriCorps to provide their operation, which is a very unique I mean, it's not very unique. It's very similar to like Teach for America, where they have sometimes where they're able to use AmeriCorps, and then other times they're not, and they're able to provide service still.
Okay, it's just really, it's amazing to me how fast a group like that can be successful and grow and just get integrated, and then actually, you know, and really provide vital services. So, and
Exactly.
then just
Yeah.
the coordination, though, that's the, I'm just, you know, if I were to go reach out to a government official or something, I wouldn't want to have cross messages, you know, if other people are already doing that. So just sort of how to
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
yeah, that's often what we will have like technical systems calls with, because it's so usually it's so specific, like what the context is, that we've heard of different strategies from all different people across the country, across the globe, and so we yeah, like how do you find out what people are already doing is often one of the first things we talk about with programs, and one of the first assignments we have. If you watch, we've linked in the resource videos that we set up for this session, and we sent out in an email just to everyone in the conference. We included a link to the Epic Model 101. In that, there's another video following that in the course in the member commons called Just Start or Epic Model 101 that is called Finding Community Partners, and another one called Finding Faculty. And both of those give tips about how to go about finding those groups, which is similar to your question. It's not the same, or it's like similar to your point. Like we have to find out who is doing this work first so we can be respectful, and also better offer that to community partners when they ask it, which is the big goal of our network. Is the like one of the founding questions was, what if we connected existing courses to the priorities and needs of our communities? Plain and simple. And it's like, well, you have to answer the question that you were prompting ahead of time. Who's already working with community? What is the community already doing? What groups are they already working with? Exactly. Anyway,
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that point and asking about that video. We made that video a long time ago, so I think things have changed. I don't think Maya's with the organization anymore, but their organization is so amazing that it's crucial for us all to know about what they're doing, especially with their focus on getting people into hometown, getting them back from their college experience back to their hometown. I think that's such a cool part of their program. Anyway, let's see, are there any other questions that have come through? I do not see any. Ida, do you? So for the final 15 minutes or 5 or 10 minutes of this activity, we just wanted to let you all share a little bit more about yourselves if you're available, and do some networking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of you kind of like what the icebreakers are like in the conference. I'd like for you each in the Q&A to ask a question, not of myself or Ada, but in the Q&A, just ask a question to these other participants on the call, if you have one. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. But I'd be curious to know what are if you have any questions for other people on the call, what they would be. So I put one in the chat, just to make it a little easier maybe. If you'd like to answer in the chat, feel free, or if you'd like to answer by unmuting, also feel free. I'm curious, you're here for some reason. What is your overall goal with what you're trying to do in your local community? And please feel free to just get my question and ask other people in the group your question if you'd like. Go ahead, Mazzy.
I'll take the first shot at this question. Marsha, you may say, yeah, that makes sense with my answer. Because I think I come from a place slightly different than most. Well, maybe not all, but maybe most of the folks on, maybe not all the folks in the network, but I think maybe many on this call. But I'm in a community engagement office, and so the EPIC Network program is one of the programs that my office does. And so then my office at the University of South Florida is uniquely or oddly, maybe both, placed in a unit called student success. And so I came from a student success lens. And so what am I currently trying to do in the community is a couple of things. And because I come from a student success background, I think I'm trying to find ways for students to learn while providing a needed service to the community, but then also do it with a lens of sustainability and to change the view of universities from being the sole owners of knowledge to having that greater understanding that there's already knowledge existing in the community and that universities can tap into, and vice versa. And so those are really the things I think I'm mostly trying to do in the local community.
Thanks, Mazzy. Anyone else like to unmute and answer that question? I'll also put it in the Whova chat if anyone wants to answer it there.
Hi, I'm gonna have to, this is Winona, I'm gonna have to go a little early. I have to get ready for my 1 o'clock meeting, but just wanted to say thank you very much.
Thanks, Winona. We'll go into, we'll wrap up. Thank you so much for attending and appreciate you being here. All right, so we'll if you have any answers to that question, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A after the event ends. Just a couple of reminders, please go into the 2020 EPIC Network Whova site and connect with other attendees. Click on their profile, click on their LinkedIn or other social media accounts, send them messages, have a video call. Make sure that you've gone into the session plan, the sessions on the agenda and added those that you plan to go to, as well as put them on your calendar if you see fit. Just kind of know what's coming up as well. Our next session will be at, again, 2 a.m. Central Time, EPIC Asia and EPIC Africa regional sessions, where they'll be sharing about their work. over the year as kind of the coordinators. They'll be highlighting programs and the actual work that's been done by their efforts on the ground. And then there will be a student session in the final hour, kind of asking their students who are also presenting maybe earlier on a little bit more about their experiences. And then the session at 10 a.m. Central following that is kind of the official welcome session with our board chair keynoting or moderating and giving an overview of the entire network as well at the beginning of that session. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much for participating, and we would love to get feedback on the session. So after this, you can go ahead and in the same menu that you're at, there should be a little button here that says rate session, and you'll be able to fill out a feedback form there. If you have any questions, use the Ask the organizers in the community page, or send us an email at info@epicn.org. Thank you all, and we'll see you at the next session.